So I really enjoy the smells of the holidays, especially when it comes to the spices like cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, mixed in together with all the kind of delicious gourmandy notes like vanilla, caramel, chocolate, and things like that. So today in this video, I've got a rank list of a top 20 holiday spices fragrances. If you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about holiday spices. Do you enjoy these kind of fragrances? Are you a fan of cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, you name it, ginger, anything that comes in to put in to create a smell of the holidays? My mom used to cook, well, she still cooks, but I used to hang out with her when I was young when she cooked with all the spices, especially during the holidays. And all these spices are pretty amplified and used quite a bit more. And also with the home, you know, fragrancing your home and things like that, the smell of the holiday spices do get used more often during this time of the year. So I really have come to love the way that kind of smell is during the holidays, the warm, spicy spices, and then also enjoy some of the fragrances that, you know, feature these notes. So let's get started with the fragrances. We're going to a house called ACCA, and it's black pepper and sandalwood. And even though the name is black pepper and sandalwood, it does feature prominently cloves and cinnamon, along with nutmeg, saffron, rose, artemisia, cedar, vetiver. But for me, this is really a lot about black pepper and sandalwood and cloves. And even the color here gives me the idea of cloves, cinnamon. It's kind of red hot, kind of a experience. But what I like about it is that creamy sandalwood mixed in with the spices. So when you want something woody with the warm spices and also some fresh spices, then definitely check this one out. Yeah, it does have that kind of floral touch of the rose as well. And it does get a little bit oody, but it's a super fantastic fragrance from the house of ACCA. And then one for you guys to check out if you don't know that house. Moving on to a house called AESOP. It's MARRAKECH Intense, this one right here. So this is, I think, the first fragrance AESOP came out with, and definitely one of the most popular from this house. It's very spicy, it's warm, and there's definitely a freshness surrounding it as well. So cardamom, cloves, both of these spices are pretty prominent, and it's a contrast with warmth and freshness. Both of these spices, cardamom goes more fresh to me, cloves go more warmer, and then of course you've got rose, neroli, jasmine, and bergamot thrown in as well to give you a fresher edge. So, you know, you've got this contrast of warmth, lots of it, because the cloves are pretty prominent here, and then the majority of the fragrance is more fresh, and it's a really nice, you know, combo of notes there to create this kind of a warm, spicy effect. So it's AESOP's MARRAKECH Intense. Wonderful offering from that house. Then we have a fragrance from BARUTI. It's called Chai. We've got a few fragrances here that are chai inspired, and when it comes to chai, there's a lot of the warm spices that go in to create this kind of a, you know, effect. It's black tea here with cardamom, cinnamon, milk, cloves, ginger, pepper, cacao, vanilla. It's a very spicy, dry, a bit milky kind of a fragrance here, and it's an overdose of spices. It's a spice bomb pretty much, and they definitely kind of come to life here when you're wearing it. You experience the tea effect, the cardamom with its freshness, the warmth of the cinnamon, that lactonic quality with the milk, and of course more warmth from the spice of cloves. It's really great, and then of course everything else that goes in to create more of a gourmand effect. So it's BARUTI's chai. Really delicious. And then speaking of chai, we've got a fragrance from a house called INEKE. It's JAIPUR chai, this one right here. As I said, we have a few fragrances that do feature tea. We've got a few more that's coming up further up the list here. But INEKE's JAIPUR chai and chai from BARUTI are quite different, whereas they're kind of similar ideas to me they are. And I feel like JAIPUR chai has a little more milkiness for me, but still not overly intense. It doesn't fully go lactonic, just like BARUTI's chai doesn't go lactonic either. But for me, JAIPUR chai is lots of cinnamon and cloves and cardamom. So 2 warm notes, fresh note of cardamom, fresh spicy note is what I should say, and warm spicy notes. And then you've got black pepper and ginger in here as well. That ginger adds this nice zing. Really love ginger and fragrances. It's a fresh spice with some warmth in it. And then, of course, the tea effect here. It's a really cozy fragrance, but with a kind of exciting energy of these spices that come in to create this fragrance. So it's a JAIPUR chai from the house of INEKE. That's a wonderful offering from a house called INEKE. I don't know if you guys know this particular house. It's a local San Francisco niche, indie niche house. So moving on to a Greek house, MANOS. It's Immortelle. Here we go into a very gourmand direction with this fragrance. We have a very creamy consistency and giving you the experience of cookie butter, speculoos, and things like that. The Immortelle note in this is quite prominent, and it has that kind of grassy, earthy, dried floral touch, but it's mixed in with lots of cinnamon, brown sugar, benzoin, milk, sandalwood, cloves, patchouli, and it's the idea of the milk that comes in that gives you that, creaminess in this fragrance, and along with all the dry notes, it creates this kind of a recipe of creamy cookie butter, but really super delicious, very holiday-like. The holidays really come to life here and adds that cozy layer when creaminess comes into a fragrance, really kind of creates a very smooth, cozy factor with the fragrance, very comforting touch. And in the end, you wear this fragrance and it's reminding you of wearing like cookie butter, speculoos. So it's Immortelle from the house of MANOS GARKINIS, a wonderful offering at number 16. And another holiday spice bomb. This is a very Christmas spicy, holiday spicy fragrance. It's Libertine Fragrance Gilded. I do have to say their bottles just got changed, so the bottles are looking much nicer now. This particular bottle here is the previous bottle. I think they did a whole redo of their collection of fragrances with new bottles. But for me, this is lots of cinnamon, lots of cardamom. So once again, we've got fresh and warm spices together, an overdose of those spices. Throw in some resinous touches with Olibanum, kind of giving you a little smokiness here. And then to sweeten things up, there's brown sugar and additional kind of gourmand notes, maybe vanillic notes as well, to create a very holiday spice vibe here. Totally, when you smell these fragrances, all of these fragrances, you're going to get that kind of a connection, reminding you of cooking with spices during the holidays. Maybe you've got a candle burning that's got that kind of warm spiciness, and I don't know, all these spicy touches give you that kind of holiday spice vibe effect. So Gilded from the house of Libertine fragrance is a really wonderful offering. And then we're going to the house of Frederic Malle. It's Noir Épice, this one right here. So Noir Épice is also that very overdose of holiday spices like cloves. But in this case, we've got geranium and oranges as well, along with nutmeg and black pepper. So the oranges gives you, just imagine, during the old days, as a kid, I used to put cloves in the oranges, and this is giving me that kind of an effect. The smell of the oranges, very citrusy, sweet tart, and then that cloves, it's very warm, spicy edge. That's the kind of vibe this fragrance gives me. It smells like that, but along the way you also have geranium. It does have that kind of grassy, minty, little rosy touch in here with the fragrance, and then of course nutmeg is warm, spicy, and then freshness of the black pepper. Really wonderful offering from this house. Not one of my all-time favorites from that house, but definitely solid, especially when it comes to holiday spice vibe. That's definitely one for you to try. Then going to the house of Jo Malone, it's Pomegranate Noir, this one right here. So this is a fragrance I've known about since the late 90s, and ever since then I thought it smelled like the holidays. It smells literally like the holidays, but in this case more like a holiday candle, because Jo Malone makes fragrance candles as well, like scented candles and things like that, and for me this gives me that kind of a scented candle vibe that you would light up at the house during the holidays to give you that kind of warm and coziness. So it's cloves, pink pepper, pomegranates, rhubarb, a bit fruity, a bit vegetal, very spicy, very warm, but super delicious actually. It's Pomegranate Noir from the house of Jo Malone, and I believe that was initially targeted to men, I thought, from what I remember when I first started, playing around with Jo Malone. But I think it's fairly unisex, but does lean a little masculine. And in fact, a lot of the spicy fragrances do lean a little masculine. I should give you a heads up, but most of these fragrances should be all unisex. So next, going to the house of DIPTYQUE, their very first fragrance that they launched in the 70s. I believe it was 70s. It's Low. And this is basically cloves and cinnamon and lots of it. And basically you're swimming in cloves and cinnamon and an overdose of them. But it also features geranium, rose, and sandalwood. So it does get a bit creamy when it's drying down. And that gives you that very cozy creaminess that you want sometimes in the winter months, because it gets a little cold and breezy. And you come home to kind of relax in the warmth of the house. But this is definitely a spice bomb. And it's, like I said, overdose of the cinnamon and cloves. And it gives you a little bit of a chai effect. Like I grew up drinking cinnamon and clove tea, and for me, I get that kind of an effect with this fragrance as well, even adding a further coziness to the fragrance. So it's DIPTYQUE's Low from some time ago, but still smelling great today. Moving on to the house of Maison Margiela, it's By the Fireplace, this one right here. And of course, this has to be on this list. It has an overdose of cloves along with chestnuts. By the way, guys, if you didn't catch my chestnuts video recently, I featured this in there, so please go catch that as well. But this is lots of cloves, guaiac wood, the chestnuts, vanilla, Peru balsam, pink pepper. Super delicious, very cozy, lightly smoky, cozy, you know, delicious gourmand fragrance that's definitely smelling like the holiday spices. So By the Fireplace from Maison Margiela, definitely a solid offering from that house. Then we've got Wajan from Parfums de Marly. Wajan is a really fabulously delicious gourmand fragrance targeted to men, but totally women can wear it. Although it's in the male bottles, but I think it's targeted unisex from what I should say. There's no rules. Wear what you want if you want it. But this is super spicy, warm spicy with cinnamon and honey, tonka beans, benzoin, and osmanthus, and the combination is delicious. It reminds me of delicious Middle Eastern baklava, honey drizzled all over, or a sugar syrup water drizzled all over it with the dough and everything together. So there's a kind of a sticky consistency when you're wearing this one, but it's super delicious and very holiday spice vibe. So it's Parfums de Marly's Wajan. If you don't know that one, do check it out. Up next, going to a house called DIPTYQUE. Once again, we've got 34 Boulevard Saint Germain. So the original version of this fragrance is initially officially a spice bomb, and it was basically taking a lot of different notes from a lot of the fragrances from the house up to the point that they created this particular line, and you know, combining to make a very spicy fragrance. Here they've amplified the intensity of it and then still focusing on the cinnamon and cloves, and there's also pink pepper, sandalwood, vanilla, citruses, violet, rose, geranium, cassis. But it's a super delicious spice bomb come to life with a very earthy patchouli edge with it, and it's actually quite nice and definitely something a little more substantial compared to their other fragrance, Low. If you like the idea of Low with some more things happening with it, and then a bit more intense, then definitely check out 34 Boulevard Saint Germain in EDP concentration. All right, next up at number 8, we've got a fragrance from the house of Scents of Wood. It's Plum and Cognac, this one right here. So Plum and Cognac is definitely a boozy fragrance, but really gives me a very holiday vibe. I absolutely love that about it. It's plums, cinnamon, rum, vanilla, Peru balsam, labdanum, immortelle, vetiver, and osmanthus. So it's got loads of holiday spices here along with the booziness, and there's definitely ambery balsamic resinous touches when the fragrance dries down as well. But you have that immortelle note that was prominent in the Manos GARKINIS Immortelle. It gives you that kind of dried floral, grassy, autumn-like vibe along with the fruitiness of the osmanthus, and then also another tea effect here. But it's a super delicious boozy gourmand amber balsamic resinous fragrance that totally gives me the holiday vibe. And then don't forget there's the plums in this as well, and the plums adds that very fruity effect that I like, and not overly fruity because the plums are kind of unique in their fruitiness, but definitely has that plummy fruitiness. So it's Plum and Cognac at number 8. And then at number 7, it's Spicy Delice from the house of JUS Parfums. If you got my mystery box recently, this was featured in there. And actually, the reason I chose it is because it's a holiday spice vibe. It's got that going for it. And then also the fact that, you know, we were launching mystery box during the Black Friday. So perfect and appropriate. But this is, if you haven't tried this one yet, definitely get your nose on it, especially from this house. It's cardamom, ginger, pink pepper, cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, davana, vanilla, and amber wood. So eventually amber woody, vanillic when it's drying down, but it's a spice bomb come to life and a very long lasting fragrance. Super delicious, very holiday spice vibe, and definitely appropriate to wear during these months or any time of the year if you want to feel holiday festive. So it's JUS Spicy Delice at number 7. Then we've got, at number 6, L'Artisan Parfumeurs Tea for Two. Yes, got to be in this list. This is super delicious tea fragrance with lots of tobacco and an overdose of Christmas or holiday spices. They even have a gingerbread note in this in addition to the ginger spice. So along with tea, tobacco, cinnamon, spices, honey, ginger, and gingerbread, it's a super delicious, very gourmand holiday spice fragrance come to life. I just hope they never discontinue this fragrance because I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites, and it's a really, really reminder of what the holidays smell like to me. So it's Tea for Two and House of L'Artisan Parfumeur. It's a wonderful offering from that house. And this is quite a surprise that this fragrance ends up on a holiday spice list. This is Mancera's Tonka Cola. Not only does it have that cola effect, but it also has a holiday spice effect. It's got notes of fizzy cola, Brazilian tonka beans, black cherries, cinnamon stick, patchouli, nutmeg, Sicilian lemons, powdery vanilla, and benzoin. In the end, it's definitely very ambery and vanillic when it's drying down, with some woodiness from the patchouli, the earthiness as well. But up top, its holiday spices come to life with a fizzy cola edge. Of course, it's very fizzy, it's sparkling, it's effervescent, it's got that cola vibe, but a bit more flat, not necessarily uber fizzy. You'll experience the fizziness more when it's first sprayed versus when it's drying down. Along the way, you get the cherries, the nuttiness from the tonka, lots of cinnamon, spices, and nutmeg, and some citrusy touches as well. Really wonderful offering. This is Tonka Cola. Total holiday spice vibe for me. Next, we've got Plume Impressions Royal Bourbon at number 4, and this was also featured in Mystery Box. If you haven't got your nose on this one, please do. To me, it's a nice boozy holiday spice bomb come to life. Super delicious, really, really intoxicating. Licorice, cinnamon, ginger, pepper, rum, tobacco, leather, caramel, vanilla, benzoin, amber, and cedarwood. Yes, it does have that tobacco in there as well. It amplifies the spiciness from this fragrance, but it's super boozy, very gourmand, very warm, spicy, and ambery, vanillic, woody when it's drying down. Really, really great fragrance. Hopefully you guys got to try this one. And let me know if you got the Scent Club Mystery Box and what you thought about that fragrance. And then at number 3, we've got Tabac Exquis from the House of Caron. This is holiday spice come to life once again with the idea of tobacco and chocolates. Really super delicious. It's cinnamon bark, tobacco, chocolate accord, cocoa, labdanum, benzoin, myrrh, ambroxan, jasmine absolute, iris, and frankincense. The intoxicating combination is super delicious. It's very, very warm, spicy, chocolatey cacao as well, powdery at the same time, and very resinous, ambery, vanillic on the dry down with woods. Super, super delicious. And I do have to say the iris and frankincense do, contribute really nicely to this, creates a powdery effect and a lightly smokiness as well. Really awesome fragrance. Tabac Exquis from the House of Caron is super, super amazing. One of my favorite discoveries of this year. I absolutely love it. And I should say, I didn't discover this fragrance this year. I discovered it last year, but I ended up with the bottle this year, and I was, reviewing it and things like that. But I smelled it last year. I absolutely loved it. But by the time I got the bottle this year, earlier this year, I did a review, and I'm on my second bottle. So it's super fantastic. But the next fragrance that reminds me of holiday spices is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. This one right here. Got to be putting this one on the list. And to me, it totally takes the, idea of holiday spices come to life once again with tobacco. It's interesting that a lot of tobacco goes really nicely with these warm spices, vanilla and things like that. And definitely the Tobacco Vanille does. One of the best from Tom Ford. And it features tobacco, vanilla, spices, cacao, tonka beans, dried fruits. And when they say spices, I'm getting cinnamon, cloves, maybe some cardamom, maybe a bit ginger, maybe some peppery notes like pink pepper and black pepper in there. But it's a really nice bouquet of spices mixed in with the tobacco, vanilla, the cacao, tonka, and the fruits. Super delicious. This is Tobacco Vanille at number 2, and at number 1, it's Rouge Soleil from the House of Atelier des Ors. Really a holiday spice fragrance come to life with gourmand notes and syrupy balsamic notes as well, with vanilla, dates, plums, cinnamon, patchouli, Peru balsam. It's super delicious, one of a kind fragrance. Absolutely love it. Best from this house, and I'm hoping they were going to make an extrait de parfum of this because it really deserves it, because it really, really does give me that holiday spice vibe experience with the idea of gourmand notes, balsamic notes, fruits, and things like that. Absolutely delicious. A really, really wonderful offering from Atelier des Ors. It's Rouge Soleil. And that is the number 1 fragrance for you guys for the holiday spice fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances, and also let me know other fragrances that you wear that you consider holiday spicy. Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, thanks so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.